Today we shall be discussing quadratic equation. At the last class, we looked at quadratic trinomial. In today's class, we shall be looking at quadratic equation. And what is quadratic equation? And what is the difference between a quadratic equation and a quadratic expression? A quadratic equation is said to be an equation where one side is a quadratic expression. At the last class, I have already explained to you what we meant by quadratic expression. But for the purpose of those who were not present at the last class, a quadratic expression is an algebraic expression that has the highest power of the unknown to be equal to 2. And I give examples as ax squared plus bx plus c is said to be a quadratic expression. When a quadratic expression is said to be equal to 0, this is what we refer to as a quadratic equation. Now, when you're asked to solve a quadratic equation, what you are expected to do is to look for the value of x that which, when substituted into this equation, makes what you have at the left-hand side to be equal to 0. So that is what we are going to be doing in quadratic equation. But before we go into this, I would like you to take note of this. In this case, for it to be an equation, a, b, and c are said to be constant, where a must not be equal to 0. If a is equal to 0, that brings us back to a linear equation. Because if this is 0, automatically ax squared becomes 0, and we left the bx plus c. And an equation where the highest power of the unknown is 1 is said to be a linear equation. Also, in this lecture, we shall be dealing with this. When you have in algebra, when you have two brackets multiplying themselves or two terms multiplying themselves to be equal to 0, as in the case of a plus x divided by b plus x to be equal to 0, what this means is for you to find the value of x, it therefore means that it is either a plus x is equal to 0 or b plus x is equal to 0, or both of them are equal to 0. For you to multiply two terms to be equal to 0, one of them must be equal to 0, or both of them must be equal to 0. So we shall apply this in solving quadratic equation. So I just wanted you to have that at the back of your mind, because we are going to apply it in solving. Now, how do we solve quadratic equation? Solution. The question says that I should solve the quadratic equation 6x squared plus 13x plus 5 is equal to 0. So what we are going to do is this. With the exercise we just solved as assignment, where we had to factorize a quadratic expression, we are going to apply it here. So in solving the quadratic equation, you are going to solve the quadratic expression on the left-hand side using factorization method, and you are going to arrive at those two linear equations that which, when multiplied together, gave you the quadratic expression. And being equal to 0, it is either one of the brackets is equal to 0 or both are equal to 0. From there, we can now derive two linear equations and get our values for the unknown. So let's go ahead and solve this. Looking at the left-hand side, that gives us a quadratic expression. So I'm going to factorize this quadratic expression, and the first step is to make it from a quadratic trinomial to a 4-term expression. So multiply the first term and the last term. This gives us 30x squared. So we are going to look for two terms that when we multiply them together, it gives us 30x squared, and when we add them together, it gives us plus 13x. So what are those two terms? Without wasting much of our time, you already know what to do. So I'm going to give you those two terms. So those two terms are said to be 10x and 3x. For when you multiply both of them together, it gives you 30x squared, and when you add them together, you get 13x. So I'm going to substitute it for the middle term. This becomes 6x squared plus 3x plus 10x plus 5 is equal to 0. So we then factorize in twos. 3x is common. This becomes 3x into bracket 2x plus 1, and plus 5 is common, into bracket 2x plus 1 being equal to 0. And when you factorize again, you have 2x plus 1 is equal to 2x plus 1 2x plus 1 into bracket 3x plus 5 is equal to 0. Now, when you multiply two brackets together to be equal to 0, it is said to be is either 2x plus 1 is equal to 0 or 3x plus 5 is equal to 0. So this is now the two linear equations. You now have it to be 2x. If 2x plus 1 is equal to 0, therefore means that 2x is equal to minus 1. Or if 3x plus 5 is equal to 0, it means that 3x is equal to minus 5. Dividing both sides by 2, in this case, you have your x to be equal to minus half, or x is equal to minus 5 over 3 when you divide by 3. Now, this is said to be the solution of this equation. Solution means it is only when x is equal to minus half or minus 5 over 3 that this equation is said to be equal to 0. And we refer to that as the solution or the root of a quadratic equation. I'll come again. The root of a quadratic equation is said to be those terms, most especially there are two, that when you substitute them as values of x in that equation, it makes that equation to be equal to 0. So in this case, we have x to be equal to minus half or x to be equal to minus 5 over 3. And if we substitute it into that equation, which is 6x squared plus 13x plus 5, will it be equal to 0? Let's see. We have it that x is equal to minus half. We have it as minus half or minus 5 over 3. So let's see if this is correct. Substituting minus half for x into this equation, we have 6 into bracket minus 1 over 2 squared plus 13 into 1 over 2 minus 1 over 2. When you add 5 to it, will it be equal to 0? Let's see. You first of all square this. This becomes 6 into minus becomes plus 1 over 4. For minus half squared is said to be 1 over 4. This becomes minus 13 over 2 plus 5. Will it be equal to 0? Let's see. This becomes 6 over 4 minus 13 over 2 plus 5 over 1. Will it be equal to 0? This is 3 over 2 minus 13 over 2 plus 5 over 1. Will it be equal to 0? Since the denominators are equal, this becomes 2. 3 minus 13 is said to be minus 10 plus 5 over 1. Will it be equal to 0? 2 can divide. This becomes minus 5 plus 5. Will it be equal to 0? Yes. That shows you that minus half is equally the root of the equation. Now let me see you substitute minus 5 over 3 into this equation to see if it will give you 0. If your answer is 0, kindly comment at the comment section to tell me what you get. Otherwise, let me have the value, but ensure you follow the right step and you arrive at the same answer with me. Kindly like my videos as you watch. While I recommend that you subscribe to my channel if you are yet to do so, or follow me on TikTok and on Facebook at my lesson teacher Matt. Turn on the notification bell so as to be notified whenever a new video is being uploaded. You can also use the comment section to interact with me on areas that are still difficult for you to understand. While I recommend you share the links with your friends and families so that they can also benefit from our daily classes. We shall now take another example on factorization of quadratic equation.